are 20-34 heading into their game tonight against the Marlins at PNC Park. They've got a minus 83 run differential, pretty powerful indicator of who you really are, and that differential is the very worst in Major League Baseball. And at the same time, even though they've had a ton of key injuries, I'm not inclined to blame injuries for what's happened. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. Comes your way bright and early every weekday morning. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer up daily shots of Steelers and Penguins right where you found this. It sounds a little bit ridiculous to try to cast aside that the Pirates have been without Ke'Bryan Hayes, in particular, since the second day of the season, all the way through till tonight when he's going to make his return to the lineup. That's a big, big, big loss, offensively, defensively, intangibly, across the board for a team that could not afford any such thing at any position, much less to this kid. He was going to represent all that plus mojo. And just like that, it was taken away for more than a third of the regular season. Impossible to replace. Never mind that the guys they were putting out there in his place were nowhere near replacement level. But then you add on to that Colin Moran being out for more than a month. Phillip Evans has been out for a long time. And the offense just had its plug completely pulled. And not just pulled, but thrown into the bathtub. Because all you were left with is Adam Frazier, leading the National League in hits, by the way, right at the top of the order, and Brian Reynolds, and a whole lot of wah-wah the rest of the way. You were left with virtually no chance to string together hits, which was the Pirates' only chance of sustaining any semblance of offense. So why wouldn't I blame injuries? Why wouldn't I say, this is crazy. This could have been so different if they had this guy or that guy. Well, it's not because I'm worried about making excuses. I don't actually even believe in the concept of excuses. Something's either a fact or it isn't. It's a fact. The Pirates have had players hurt. It's a fact. It's hurt the Pirates. But there's another fact, and that's that everyone's hurt everywhere. A study that I read yesterday showed some jarring numbers about what has happened to baseball in 2021 after there basically was very little to no baseball in 2020. And players are being affected at all levels, but especially the minor leagues, which really didn't do anything last year unless you count those quiet, remote satellite camps where they couldn't even string together enough pitchers to engage in manageable scrimmages most of the time. At least that was the case in Altoona for the Pirates last summer. It was a year without baseball, for all intents and purposes. And when you don't partake in a certain event, you're going to be rusty when that event resumes. That's what's happened across baseball. So we can say, well, the Pirates lost Hayes and Moran and, guys in the system and everything else here, but the Cardinals are now without Jack Flaherty. The Cardinals are sitting in first place in a pretty precarious spot. Not even close to suggesting that the Pirates would be contending for first place, but rather that every team they're facing is missing guys and missing significant guys. Even some of those who aren't hurt are performing abysmally. players who you're used to seeing perform really well are really down. It's just a bad, bad year for baseball. All around. Injuries, performance, everything. So the Pirates, look, had they been an exception in this regard, had even just Hayes been an exception, they would have been so much better off for it as an organization. They would have had Hayes experience some highs, maybe even some lows for the first time, and mature individually, never mind what he would have brought to the team. They would have learned more about Colin Moran. They would have found out about Phillip Evans, who they were so excited about coming out of spring training. And then at the minor league level, you wouldn't have had significant injuries to Nick Gonzalez, your top hitting prospect, Travis Swaggerty, your top outfield prospect. Now Miguel Yuhure's elbow hurts. Miguel Yuhure should be in the Pirates' rotation right this second, and he's not because his elbow hurts. There's going to be more of these. There's going to be more. If anything, this situation figures to worsen over a long season following a very short season, or no season at all in the case of the minors. And here's hoping that the Pirates and Ben Cherington in particular are braced for that. I know I was one of the people who raised eyebrows whenever he was bringing in all these Trevor Cahills and so forth, and I was going, what's he doing here? How many innings does he think he has to cover? Well, it might be a lot. It might be a lot. And for those pitchers who are healthy, because your pitchers are always your biggest worry. Always your biggest worry when it comes to baseball injuries because of the length of the time that they can be out and because of the meaning of what happens when you have an elbow or shoulder injury that requires surgery. Man, someone had better be careful. And I mean all of the someones who are involved. Manager, pitching coach, the pitchers themselves, as far as being honest with their status, the catchers, as far as being honest with the state of the pitchers. You can't risk having a truckload of pitchers get hurt the rest of the way. They've got to be, literally in this case, managed. The priority has to be health the rest of the way. A lot of us won't like it. A lot of us won't like it when we see Richard Rodriguez isn't available for a save because the staff has decided that he's not going to pitch more than 3 times in a given week, meaning the medical staff. And we're going to be like, but this is a chance to win 4 in a row, and he pitched last night, and he only threw 8 pitches, and it won't matter because you're going to prioritize health. It has to happen here. So no, I'm not here to use the Pirates' injuries as an excuse or an explanation for their record to date. But I sure hope it gets used as a warning sign for what they need to do the rest of this summer. When we come back, just one question. Welcome back. The Just One Question portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is always brought to you by our friends at the North Shore Tavern. That's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park, side with the Willie Stargell statue on it. North Shore Tavern is home to steak on a stone, which has to be experienced as well as eaten. The steak comes to your table on an 800-degree lava stone. This has to be seen to be believed. And you cut it up and you cook it the way you want. You do the turning, you do the flipping. Fork and knife, nothing fancy. You don't have to be an expert of any kind. Heaven knows I'm not, and I've somehow pulled it off every time. Visit North Shore Tavern on Federal Street. Question today comes from Ralph, and it's not really a question, what he states here is, I'm so looking forward to Ke'Bryan Hayes playing with Adam Frazier, Brian Reynolds, Colin Moran, and Jacob Stallings. And I hear you, Ralph. I get that. As I mentioned on yesterday's show, actually I invested most of the show in this, didn't just mention it. I am looking at tonight's game against the Marlins as the line of demarcation, because it's before Ke'Bryan, after Ke'Bryan. I really want to see this kid have a full summer. I've tried hard not to excessively pump this kid's tires, but when all you've ever seen of him the last 2 years now is outright excellence, it's kind of hard not to. And actually, I want to see him stumble too. I want to see him bounce back from a slump, because that'll tell you more about him than if he just continues being Ted Williams for the rest of his life. Actually, no, you'd kind of take that. I take that one back. But you do want to see somebody throw him a pitch that maybe gives him some problems, or a pitch sequence that kind of handcuffs him a little bit. He's a smart kid. He's got all kinds of talent. He's got the quick hands. You'd figure he'll be able to make the adjustment no matter what. He can inside out the ball. He can start pulling it. He can drive it up the middle. He can do different things. He can lay off the pitch when he doesn't like it. But I want to see that. I want to see a summer of that. Yes, yes, yes is the answer to your question, to all of those guys. What I want to see more than anything else from the 2021 Pirates at the Pittsburgh level are players who matter, are players who are performing, maybe even behaving as if they're going to be part of this team moving forward. We saw a glimpse of that, and that's all that a month of baseball is a glimpse, in April, with a lot of the comebacks, with a lot of the outstanding pitching that we were getting, with some of the comments that were being made after the game, like, hey, we're here. We're not here to be a pushover. We're here to surprise some people. We believe in ourselves. And obviously, that part's been beaten down. And understandably, they've lost a lot of baseball games since the start of May. But that was a positive. And I feel like a lot of that's been lost because Ke'Bryan wasn't around, and because there wasn't that anchor to the future where you look at him and you go, oh yeah, that's the guy that's going to be driving the bus. That's the guy. He's going to be here. And then the rest of it starts to look and feel like it makes sense. Now Brian Reynolds, who you cited, he's in center field. He'll probably end up in left whenever the team is competitive. But he's going to be there. Jacob Stallings is older, but at the same time, there's no catching depth. There's no nothing. And the Pirates need him to help continue the development and the progression of the pitchers that they've got. So you can look at Jacob Stallings and say, he's going to be there. So it's not just about kids. It's about looking around the field and saying, now this is a piece that fits. This is someone who belongs. You can do the same thing with a lot of the pitchers as well. So excited. I never tell people what to feel, and I'm not going to start with you, Ralph. But I can tell you that's how I'm approaching this game tonight and the remainder of this season. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everyone listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We'll do another one of these tomorrow.